All right. So, hello, everyone. It's Christine and Laura from Soul Astrology with Christine and Laura. And this is our first video in our series of all the zodiac signs. And we're starting off with Aries.
I'm getting ready for Aries here. There you go.
So, here's that PDF again that you can find on the Facebook page. This was the overview of all the signs.
Mm-hmm.
And the next slide is the actual description of Aries.
There you go. The first sign and represents the principle of all beginnings is how we enter this physical dimension, with what strength, with all the enthusiasm, with all the willpower to get things done. So it's a zodiac sign of a lot of energy. And
Yeah.
that energy is required, right? Because you have to break through to get started, So
It's that birthing energy of like coming out into the world into form. And remember how we talk about how the chart itself is kind of the cycle of the soul. And first you have to take form. You take form, physical form in this world. And that's what Aries represents. It's that spark of initiation, of creation, of coming into being in form.
yeah, it's the principle of all beginnings. So everything that you want to bring forth, from opening a business, starting a career, every time that you want to get something started, that's the energy of Aries.
Yeah, it's like initiation.
Initiation, yeah.
But not just in idea and form too. So it's taking action is
It's
also
it's
required.
a fire sign, so it's a sign of a lot of action. It needs movement, it needs activity, it needs action. That's the word that defines Aries.
So we have a mantra for each of the signs, and so it kind of reflects the energy of that sign. And you see here the Aries mantra is I come forth, and from the plane of mind I rule. And then we give some foundations that are given to the soul from this Aries energy. And it's expressing the will to be and do as a physical being. So, again, that idea of taking form and acting, unfold the power to manifest in the physical world, to create things, to take action, be willing to battle for the light. So, we were talking about these just this morning. And this idea of being willing to take battle for light, so it's that connection with the divine and being willing to bring forth inspiration and the divine light into form and represent that, and also to fight and to battle for it, like to take active stance and stand for the light in the world. Do you want to add anything to that, Laura?
No, I think I like how you define it, is that it's expressing who we are and saying, I'm here. This is how I think, this is how I perceive, and being present and allowing that soul to express its quality through your words and your actions and your expressions in a way.
And then the last one is to arrive at unity through effort. And for me, that effort is really the key with Aries. So where other signs, maybe like Pisces, it's kind of almost a subconscious, really easy, natural kind of thing to arrive at that. Aries really is about taking steps and action and working and putting an effort towards doing things, including arriving at unity and kind of that collective connection.
I think it's useful to see where you have Aries in your natal chart, which house is ruling, because in that part of your life, you will be required to act, to battle in a way, to be
Yeah.
yourself, to be the leader, to maybe it's gonna be some confrontation there. You have to stand for what you feel is right. Is if you have that in your career, for example, it might be that you want to get to the top, you have the strength, you need action, you want to choose a career where you can move around and command. So if you have it in your communications, when you speak, your words are going to sound really encouraging others, and your mind is going to be clear and fast. And so Aries will color with action and movement, um, the things that are affecting in your natal chart and in your life.
That totally resonates with my chart. And so it doesn't always have to be, I think, so we're coming to the archetype of the warrior is what we're really talking about here. And we kind of mentioned that in the intro video to the signs, that each of them has an archetype, each sign, and Aries is the warrior. But it's not just fighting for causes and fighting for beliefs and fighting for another or a group. It can be fighting for self too.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to put that out there because that's really a big part of my chart. And it's about fighting my own belief systems that I have to release and let go in order to really stand in who I am and to put that out into the world. And so it can be a very internal struggle and battle as well with the Aries energy.
Mm-hmm. Another archetype that I see on Aries is the one being first at something. Like imagine an explorer that goes explore new lands. It's the one that have to open the path for others to
Yes.
come and follow. So sometimes it's a journey that might feel a little lonely because others might not have that courage and that strength and that vitality that you have to follow you or to be by your side. So sometimes you might feel that you are doing the work alone, and what for you is like, okay, let's get it done. Others might feel like, give me some time, I have to think about it. And for you, it's like, what do you have to think, right? It's a fire sign, so it's very intuitive. Something need to be done, I go get it, I go do it. So, depending where you have Aries too, you might find some resistance from others to be with you, to understand you, to play along with you. I don't know. What do you think, Christine?
Yeah, it's really interesting. I hadn't thought of it that way, that the warrior requires the struggle. In a way, that's what you're saying.
And sometimes being alone and not having someone to, that will support you or someone that you
Right.
can rely on. Sometimes it's
Yeah,
on you.
yeah. And it's really interesting because I think it exemplifies what we talked about in the introduction to the signs, that it's a cooperative energy flow and creative energy flow between the cosmos and the humanity. So, the cosmos puts in place challenges, events, people, situations that allow you to express that energy or not, to evolve in that energy or not. And that's the choice the humanity has. So I think that rings true for me.
Yeah, I thinking when you find where house you have Aries located in, maybe you can do some introspection and see, am I going too fast here? Or am I just expressing my ideas? Am I letting others to come with me? So it's interesting to know Aries because in that aspect of our life, it's all about me, and opening ourselves to how about the other can bring healing, can dissolve conflicts. And sometimes you see like, oh, this is so easy, get it done now. And for others might not be that easy. Others might not have that strength to do the things that you do at the speed that you do things. So maybe considering um, slowing down and see how others feel. Not that you have to water down yourself, but analyze if there is a need to go at that speed or to always being um, opening spaces and creating things and go getting stuff. It's like, do I need right now to be this person, or maybe I can control my Aries energy, right? And same with the opposite, where you have Aries, if you are not expressing yourself, if you are not doing things and acting and moving in that aspect of your life, maybe you need to meditate or activate somehow Aries and maybe work with Mars, which is the ruler, to bring more action into that area of your life, that aspect of your life, you know?
And I think what you're really talking about, and maybe this is really a good point to bring up with these mini videos on the signs, is when we get to the next slide, you'll see that there are, well, we haven't gone through,
Oh,
but
okay.
you'll see that we have expressions of how the Aries energy can express in a positive way and in a challenging way in your life, how you can express that energy. And I think a self-awareness is what astrology allows you to have. So once you're aware of how Aries energies can express themselves in a positive way in your life, or how you can express them in a more shadowy, negative, if you want to say, or challenging way, when you're aware, when you're self-aware of how those things could manifest, and you kind of step back and you look at your interactions, whatever Aries is in your chart, then you can kind of start being very
Conscious?
yeah, you can be conscious. This awareness allows you to make choices in a different way, right? And you can truly make choices instead of just reacting always. So if you have a very strong Aries energy and you're not aware of the positives and the negatives, you may be expressing it in the same way over and over again, and it's creating a lot of struggle in your life, or it's creating a lot of misunderstandings with others because you're so forcefully presenting this energy, but you aren't aware that you're doing it. So I think what you're talking about is having this awareness of like, oh, I have Aries here in this aspect of my life. And now I see that I'm expressing it in these different ways. And it may be helpful if I pull back here and put a little bit more Aries energy into the creative side instead of the leadership side.
Because the other thing is, we have the energy, but the energy is not controlling us. So Aries is there, but we manage how much Aries we want and when and where.
Well, we can manage
We
if you're
can,
conscious
if we're
of
conscious,
what's going
exactly.
on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the knowing the aspect of you that deals with Aries energy help you understand in what, if you're in the light side, in the shadow side, and if you want to move, because you can move, is by how you choose to live your life, how you want to express, what actions you want to have. Maybe instead of fighting, you want to go to the gym and use that energy in the gym, because you're going to be giving Aries an outlet, but not an outlet that will create chaos in your life, an outlet that is going to improve your life.
All right, so so we can get to the expressions. We'll just go through these bullet points here, which are just the basics of how Aries is represented. It's the symbol of the ram, and I think you can see that in the symbol there, the ram's horns. We talked about the archetype, that Aries archetype is the warrior. We talked about it being at the beginning of the zodiac calendar, which starts March 21st. So it's a spring start and goes through April 20th.
The date
Mars,
might be a little iffy sometimes,
yeah,
20th, 21st.
yeah, depending on the year, right? Because it's all about where the sign is in the heavens.
But when you have your natal chart, you'll see Aries exactly, what marks, what aspect of your life marks. So you don't need to know exactly the dates of Mars. It will be very noticeable in your natal chart.
So every sign has a ruling planet associated with it. Some signs share. So some signs may have two. Aries just has Mars. That's all, just Mars. Mars is pretty powerful. Maybe it's good that he only has one. Usually Aries is associated ruling the first house in the chart. It's a fire element and a cardinal quality, and we're going to do videos on those coming up. So we'll explain that a little more. So Laura has referenced it already, that it being a fire, and you can kind of, if you think about the symbolism of fire being a spark, being energetic, combustible, creating things, destroying things, like
very intuitive. It's one of the characteristic of Aries. Sometimes want to get things done, but Logical is I don't know why. Emotionally, I'm not feeling nothing, but there is an intuition of let's move.
Mhm.
So it's the fire signs are very intuitive, and Mars has this quality. And the cardinal quality means that it's cardinal are zodiac signs that starts things. So that's why when you combine the fire and the cardinal, give you that Mars energy of having intuition and strength to get something started.
Okay. So the next thing is the lesson. So for each sign, there's a kind of a life soul lesson that's associated with it. And for Aries, it's taming the raw vitality and learning self-control. I think that makes sense if you think about fire and that energy. And every sign rules a different part of the body. And so for Aries, it's the head and
Yeah,
face.
my teacher taught me that you can see Aries here, the
Mhm.
symbol of Aries here,
Oh,
right on
good.
your face.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the next slide is just talking about the different characteristics or ways Aries can be expressed. And on one side, we put the more
Hmm.
positive. I don't know. We hate just defining and
Yeah.
labeling things as good or bad. But one side is kind
We
of the
are
easier,
in
more
a world
flowing.
of, yeah, we are in a dimension of duality. So let's put this at the end of this line where duality exists, and we're all like ranging in between, oscillating in between. So the ones to the left will be the positive or the things that you want to embrace, and the ones to the right will be the ones that you probably should watch out if you're stepping there. You might want to do
Well,
some
I was
adjustments.
I was going to say, how about we talk about the one side instead of calling it positive as being in the flow of the energy,
Mhm.
and the other side is more about there's some kind of resistance or interference in the energy,
Like
and
we are
that'll
not expressing that energy in a
in its
more,
purest form.
yeah.
There's something coming in that's making it askew or interfering with it in some way.
Yeah, I don't know if we are able to actually remove all of that from ourselves, but
Mm-hmm.
having awareness that we are being impatient. That's information, that's awareness of okay, but I do not want to be impatient. So I can change my behavior. So it's there, and I have the feeling that always gonna be there for someone that is a very strong Mars energy. Impatience is always gonna be a part of their life. But once you notice that you are being impatient, it's like, okay, but how I can move from the scale and go more to the other side.
Yeah, it feels like all of those energies on the right are about there's some kind you are choosing to place obstacles to how this can truly manifest at its most purest form.
Mhm.
The wanting for out of ego reasons or whatever to get things done, to move forward. Let's get this over with. Let's get
It's
impatient.
fast.
But yeah. So we have on the flow side, we have strength, willpower, vitality, it's the innovator, the pioneer. It's ready for action, the need for action. I want to add in there the taking action, right? It's not just the idea, it's the actually going out and doing, starting to do it, to take that action. It's being a leader. Um, Aries can have a good sense of self worth. They're also good at setting boundaries, and they can be unstoppable. And you see, we have unstoppable on both sides. Is there anything you want to add to those?
No, no. We've been working on these definitions and laughing since yesterday, and I think
Yeah.
we feel pretty good with the words. Um,
We should point out that we were going to do a 1-to-1. So when you see strength and then you see aggressive and violent, that those were the opposites. But we found that some things really didn't have opposites, and then there are some things that just kind of reflected a similar aspect, but in a different way with a different nuance of the same thing. So they're not 1-to-1. It's
mhm.
just two lists. So on the non-flow, the more disruptive side of Aries, they can be aggressive and violent, and that's, I think, associated a lot with the traditional warrior image that we carry.
I
They
think
can
when
be,
all that energy, sorry, I think when all that energy that you have, you are not channeling in a constructive way. We're not giving a an opportunity for all that energy to flow and create something that is beneficial for yourself or the collective, then all that energy in you with no escape start creating some kind of aggression. And I always feel that kind of the recipe to have the healthy energy is to give an expression to the energy. So when you feel that aggression start coming into you, exercising or moving, running, yelling, it's a good way of release, because what you have is a lot of fire in you that needs to go somewhere. Otherwise, you're going to be burning yourself down.
And maybe that's something that we could have added to the flow side is physicality, right?
Mhm.
So Aries people are about, fitness and moving the body and about their relationship with the body, kind of that joy in possessing physical form.
Sports,
Mhm.
competition, sport is a great thing to release that energy.
So maybe competitive could be another either strength or negative,
Both,
right?
both.
Right? Because competition isn't bad,
Yeah.
it's just how you take it. And yeah, so the aggression and the violence to me, the source of it is back to asserting your will. And, there's obviously good, positive, and bad, negative ways of asserting your will. And it's one way is just knowing who you are and what is right and what you see you want to create and what manifest in the world versus pressing and oppressing others and taking dominance over others in order to assert your will over theirs. And so I think that's a lot that's behind that aggressive and violent nature. Um, Self-centered, impatient, we've talked about. Conflictive, I think that's obvious. Stubborn, maybe that's the will aspect again,
Mhm.
wanting your will above all else. It can be impulsive or rash, just thinking about that. So that's that need for action. So you just act because you have to act
Yeah.
without thinking.
With Aries, there is not much of thinking. It's more like an instinct. So sometimes when you feel that rush, just do a little bit of how are you feeling about it? What, talking about consequences and bringing a little bit more of mind and emotions and um, sensations, not just go for it when you feel you have to go. That, double check before you act.
So restless, abuse of power. Again, it's that will, aggression, violence, control. So controlling might be another thing that we can add in here. Selfish, living in their own world, and then unstoppable. So again, see if any of these resonate with you or if you feel completely dissociated with these energies. Both are bringing you some kind of information about your soul and your soul's journey and why you're here, the path that your soul has put out for you, right?
Yeah, in the natal chart, you'll see that each zodiac sign is in opposition to another zodiac sign. And those two signs that seems opposite actually is a good complement. It's they help each other. So for Aries will be Libra. So Libra will talk deeper about Libra, but Libra wants to connect with the other and bring harmony in relationships. So sometimes Aries have to look at Libra and say, "Oh, how they do things," because I might learn from Libra. I might have opportunity to grow if I bring a little bit of Libra into my life. So for the ones that are strong Aries, maybe you could watch with extra attention Libra and see how they do things. So it might be something that you want to incorporate in your life.
And I just put a note down that I will post an image of the chart so that people can visually kind of see what the opposites are. I'll post that on the Facebook page. So I think that pretty much sums up Aries.
Okay.
All right. So we'll see you in the next video where we'll talk about Taurus.
Bye.